It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 6 movies released on August 15th, 2008. After a couple of weeks where we've only had 2 to 3 movies in particular, we've got a wide assortment of movies coming out this week as we're coming to the end of one of the greatest summers in movie history. And we've got a good movie here, and a couple of other movies. Some okay, some not so much, but let's just get right to the first movie we have here, the biggest new release of the weekend and one of the funniest comedies ever. Let's talk about Tropic Thunder.
Filming a movie, 3 of Hollywood's biggest stars were kidnapped.
Yes, anybody got some bug spray?
Now they'll have to stop days.
I've got an award. Thank you. It's, I mean, shut up now.
Okay, then start fighting back. This might not make it there.
But not on the same flight?
Ben Stiller, Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr.
But why are you still in character?
Man, I don't drop character till I've done a DVD commentary. Tropic Thunder.
I mean, just what a great movie this is, man. Ben Stiller, Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr., Jay Baruchel, and Brendan T. Jackson star as a group of prima donna actors making a Vietnam War film, and when their frustrated director decides to drop them in the middle of a jungle and dies in an accident, they're forced to rely on their acting skills to survive the real action and danger. And of course, this parodies a lot of war films, you know, the Hollywood studio system, method acting. You have a cast that includes some top names in here: Nick Nolte, Danny McBride, Matthew McConaughey, Bill Hader, Tom Cruise. I mean, this is a great movie, man. This is a film that just right from the get-go, just really, like, right from the get-go, it's just like, okay, you're in on the ride, because they show these impressively funny fake trailers from all the actors in the movie. Like, you have Robert Downey Jr.'s character as this Australian actor who, you know, he has this film with Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire back then. Jack Black's in an Eddie Murphy comedy. Ben Stiller, Eddie Murphy type comedy, like The Nutty Professor. Ben Stiller is in a movie where, you know, he's like an action hero. And then you got the young guys in here: Jay Baruchel, Brendan T. Jackson. Brendan T. Jackson, this was actually his first film that he was in, and I remember seeing him in. I think a lot of people saw him in this, but of course, Ben Stiller is also an actor who's trying to branch out into other things. Like, one of his more notable misfires was Simple Jack, which is basically a movie that's making fun of, like, you know, the Forrest Gump formula, the Nell formula, that type of stuff. I mean, they even have a line in the movie where it's like, you don't go full retard, and that's exactly what he did in that movie. And this movie really is something that just, thank God they got it out when it did, because they could have never made this movie today. I mean, this is kind of like Blazing Saddles in a way. Like, there's stuff in here that really could not be done in today's world. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is literally in blackface for the majority of the movie, and he's great in it. I mean, this is a performance that was so good. He got nominated for an Academy Award for this, and the Oscars don't usually nominate comedies anymore, especially around this time, but the fact that they saw this and said, oh, we'd be crazy not to give him an Oscar nomination for it. I mean, unfortunately, he was competing in the same year Heath Ledger was in there, so yeah, chances of winning that are slim to none. But the fact that they acknowledge this as one of the 5 best supporting performances of the year, man, it's just, I mean, it's just incredible what this movie was able to accomplish. And yeah, this is something that I really think could not be made in today's world. This is one of those last great comedies before everybody just decided that, you know, if you try to be crazy or go dark, it's just, you're gonna get called out for it. I mean, the jokes about Simple Jack and everything, like the bad guys in here, their favorite movie is Simple Jack, and there's even a part where Ben Stiller has to reenact the movie in general, and it's bad. It's just a bad performance with the bad teeth and all that stuff, and it's so funny. This whole movie is so goddamn funny, and the performance that really kind of gets overshadowed in this is Tom Cruise, who plays the head of the studio, Les Grossman, and nobody knew that he was in this movie until they saw the film, and it's just like, that guy kind of looks familiar, because it's him in all this makeup and all that stuff, and it's just like, that's not Tom Cruise, and at the end of it, it's just like, holy crap, that is. I mean, like, that's an incredible, incredible performance by Tom Cruise that sadly gets overlooked when you look at this movie. But it's really, really fun to see him just go all out with this, and it's fun to see him make fun of himself. I mean, this was around that time when he was kind of seen as the crazy person. I mean, he wasn't seen as the star, the rebirthing star that he is now with stuff like Top Gun Maverick and the Mission Impossible movies. I mean, this was kind of at a point in his career where, you know, he was coming off of the whole thing with United Artists buying that studio, and, you know, And doing something like this, showing that he's allowing himself to be funny like this. I mean, it's very, very good stuff. Matthew McConaughey, I mean, this is a great movie for him, coming off of the really bad films he'd been attached to. I mean, this shows that, hey, this guy's got a lot of talent to him. And I mean, the concept overall is just hilarious. I mean, this was the perfect movie to end a really good summer on, because yeah, this was a film that was just so well put together, so hilariously done. Ben Stiller does a fantastic job writing this, directing this, starring in it. Everybody does a great job in this movie. I mean, what more can you say that hasn't already been said already? Tropic Thunder is absolutely incredible. It's one of the best comedies I've ever seen. Just a funny movie. Tropic Thunder is amazing. If you have not seen it yet, do yourself a favor and see it, because you are missing out on a truly, truly great film. Tropic Thunder is a must-see film, no question about it. And now we get to the others, the movies on this list here that are very, very forgettable when you really delve into all of them. But let's start with the first one we have here, and that is Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
In a galaxy far, far away, the untold chapter of this Star Wars saga is revealed. On August 15th,
they have nowhere to run.
Skywalker is the Republic's only hope. Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Rated PG, in theaters August 15.
No, not the good Clone Wars, not the Genndy Tartakovsky one. No. This is the pilot episode to the Cartoon Network series, which, okay, it's not the worst thing ever, but it certainly was not as good as the Genndy Tartakovsky one. That one is still the top of the list here. But, I mean, this is basically the feature-length pilot episode that they would show on Cartoon Network. Like, this would be the equivalent to the Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends pilot episode in a way. Because, the story here is that you have Count Dooku and Jabba the Hutt's Uncle Zero orchestrating a plan to turn Jabba against the Galactic Republic by flaming the Jedi for the kidnapping of his son. While Anakin Skywalker, played here by Matt Lanter, and his newly assigned apprentice Ahsoka Tano, played by Ashley Eckstein, attempt to deliver the child back to his father, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Padme, lead separate investigations to uncover Dooku and Zero's plot. Now, of course, a lot of these people would be involved in whenever Star Wars went over to Disney, such as Dave Filoni, the director of this, who has gone on to become the chief creative officer for Lucasfilms. But the problem with this movie was the fact that the trailer gives you kind of an indication of what they were trying to sell this movie as. They were trying to sell this as the future of Star Wars. Like, this is what Star Wars is supposed to be going forward. And by doing that, you are doing yourself a major, major disservice trying to save this series that was already on bad terms with the prequels in general. And this is the only Star Wars thing released by Warner Brothers. It was the first time they took Star Wars out of 20th Century Fox into another studio. And yeah, it just didn't work out in their favor, and the thing kind of crashed and burned and really didn't go anywhere. This movie didn't, but of course the show did become a little bit more successful, and especially considering that, that's a series in general, more people were akin to that than this. Like, the problem with this is that this shouldn't have gone to theaters, honestly. If this was a made-for-TV movie, like on Cartoon Network, where this show actually aired, then maybe there could have been something to it. But the fact that they were selling this as the future of Star Wars, and this is the film that they gave us, yeah, I would be pretty peeved too if this was supposed to be hailed as the future of Star Wars, because I would expect so much more from this. But yeah, not much more to say about this one here. Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It was a pretty bad movie overall. It led to a better television series, but just a missed opportunity here. So, with that said, let's continue on the mediocre train, folks, with the next film we have here, Alexandra Aja's Mirrors.
I'm not acting scared, but he is.
Michael, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Amy, what's wrong?
There's somebody in the house. I'm so scared.
Amy, I'm seeing bad things. What if the mirrors can actually make us do things that we don't want to do? Get out of here! Now!
Don't be scared, Mommy. I just want to come play with us.
And here we have yet another one of these bad J-horror remakes, this time featuring a stacked cast that includes Kiefer Sutherland, then of 24, Paula Patton, who was rising up in the world, Amy Smart, who had been a road tripping among others as well, and Alexander Aja, who's coming off The Hills Have Eyes. And man, here's the thing. This is one of those J-horror remakes where they almost have something that makes it kind of special in general. The plot of this movie is where you have all these different people that are getting killed through these mysterious elements, and we find out that it's these reflections in the mirror who are causing these people to kill one another. And, there's one part where a security guard, he crashes into a mirror and a piece of glass falls on the floor, and the guy stupidly grabs it, and the mirror reflection's just like, oh, you did that for me, okay, and then just slices his neck off, and the guy dies in real life. Like, stuff like that's pretty stupid. But then there are times when this thing could actually be kind of threatening, like with a kid there, or the most notable scene in the movie where Amy Smart's taking a shower, and Amy Smart's mirror reflection starts elongating her jaw, and while she's in the bath, she's doing it too, and it completely, tears her mouth open, and it's just like, that's a cool effect overall, but unfortunately, the rest of the movie is just pretty forgettable. Kiefer Sutherland, this is the worst thing he's done in a long, long time in terms of film. I mean, he's been involved in some bad films, but this is up there with The Vanishing in terms of, the worst acting I've ever seen from Kiefer Sutherland. He's gone so far in the 25 years since that movie, The Vanishing, and this, you just don't expect Jack Bauer to be this whiny all the time, because he really is whining all the time. He's got two emotions. Whining, and he's like, not even disappointed, yelling because he's on fire. So it's like, oh, I'm on fire. It's not even convincing either. And Paula Patton, she's there to just be the stock wife character who, seen as, she's there to be the stock wife character. There's nothing really for her to do in this movie in general, but, yeah, this movie is pretty lame. This is a really lackluster movie. And it's such a perfect note to the horrendous 2008 summer movie season that was from 20th Century Fox. I mean, talk about a summer of one bad disappointment after another. And it would continue on into the fall as well, because there's a couple of bad movies that we're going to get to with them later on. But yeah, this was the culmination of everything bad they had done in the summer of 2008. If your best movie is What Happens in Vegas, then clearly there's a massive, massive problem with your studio, and you really, really need to rethink your life choices here. So anyway, that is Mirror. So why don't we just go ahead and move on to the second best movie of the weekend. I guess Tropic Thunder is the first one, but Woody Allen's back with a new film, and that's Vicky, Cristina, Barcelona.
Both for the weekend.
What do one guy,
We'll eat well and we'll make love.
Who exactly is going to make love?
Hopefully the three of us.
two girls,
This guy is so interesting. What's so interesting? He wants to get us both into bed.
and a jealous ex-wife
I don't like her for you.
have in common?
Empty sex.
Empty sex?
Yes, please.
They're all part of the smartest, sexiest comedy of the year. Vicky, Cristina, Barcelona. Rated PG-13. Everywhere August 15.
Yet despite the PG-13 rating, this actually does a lot more that I have to give them a lot of credit for. So you have, as you can see, Scarlett Johansson and Rebecca Hall, who play Vicky and Cristina, who spend a summer in Barcelona, where they meet an artist played by Javier Bardem, who's attracted to both of them. While still enamored of his mentality and his emotionally unstable ex-wife, played by Penelope Cruz, this is a film that obviously is shot in Barcelona, and just really is one of Woody Allen's best movies in general. This is a film that just plays well to his advantages. He has a lot of great talent all across the board here. Bardem, Patricia Clarkson's also in here too, Cruz, Rebecca Hall, Scarlett Johansson, Chris Messina, Kevin Dunn. Just really, really good talent all across the board. Penelope Cruz, you can see why she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, because this is really one of her best performances ever. And it's a really good, heartfelt love story. It's a really good summer storyline. You really get involved with these characters, and you really do want to see the adventures they go on. And, for a PG-13 rating, they get away with a lot in terms of the sex appeal. And, yeah, it definitely... I mean, you got a movie where there's a three-way between Bardem, Johansson, I think it's, can't even remember if it was Hall or Cruz. No, it was Penelope Cruz. I mean, how could I forget a scene where Scarlett Johansson and Penelope Cruz kiss? I mean, that's something I probably should not forget. But again, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, so. But it's a really good movie. It's a film I really like a lot. It's definitely one of Woody Allen's best movies, no question about it. Vicky, Cristina, Barcelona, terrific, terrific film. Easily one of Alan's best films. So, let's get back to the crap again. Let's take a look at another movie here. A 3D animated movie, because everyone was on that 3D hype train. So, why not Summon Entertainment with their film, Fly Me to the Moon?
The dream of a nation to land on the moon would take fearless explorers, noble heroes, and the ultimate flyboys.
Did anybody see that? See what, sir? A fly. 3 to be exact.
Nat is the leader, IQ has the brains, and Scooter has the guts.
And now you see why not every 3D animated movie was worth seeing in the theater, because, my god, that movie looked absolutely horrible. From the bad animation to the, the choppiness of it, to the characters who are just basic stock characters. I mean, it's the Alvin and the Chipmunks syndrome. You gotta have, the leader of the group, you gotta have the smart one, and you gotta have the fat kid. I mean, it's pretty much that. And the idea is pretty interesting. You have a film that's a fictionalized retelling of the Apollo 11 mission, incorporating a story of 3 young flies that stow away on the rocket to fulfill their dreams of going up to the moon, while their families take on a group of Soviet flies who try to sabotage the mission. But then again, when your cast list includes Kelly Ripa, Christopher Lloyd, Nicolette Sheridan, and Tim Curry, chances are you're not in for a real good treat. And even Tim Curry, as much as Tim Curry can usually elevate a film to another level, like, you don't go to an animated movie to see the highlight names of Kelly Ripa and Nicolette Sheridan. But Buzz Aldrin's also in the movie too, I guess. So, yeah, this is a pretty bad movie. I don't think I need to tell you why. I mean, you could see it in that trailer alone. It's just a really bad-looking film. It's a terrible-looking film. It's very choppy. It's not well put together. It's a lazy film, so... Not much more to say about that one, so let's just go ahead and move on to the last one we have here. Henry Poole is here.
Sometimes things just happen because we choose for them to.
You actually believe that?
I chose to believe.
Not Henry Poole is literally here, that's the name of the movie. And you have a story where Luke Wilson plays a dying man whose religious neighbor insists the water stain on the side wall of his house is the image of Jesus Christ. That's all that happens. That's basically the movie. I mean, this is a film that has kind of a really lame premise overall. Yeah, it's got a lot of good actors in here. Luke Wilson, Radha Mitchell, Adriana Barraza from Babel, Cheryl Hines, George Lopez, Richard Benjamin. But that's all it is, man. This is directed by Mark Pellington, who did U2 3D, which we talked about earlier in the year. But then again, he also did the Mothman Prophecies. So yeah, take that for what you will. But it'd be fine if there was something interesting to this. But Overture films overall, I mean, we've talked about some of their movies before. A lot of them were very bad. This is a film that really doesn't have that spark that it really needs to elevate it into something on a different level. Like, it doesn't really have that movie where, the actors can really save the film in general, and it's just like, it feels like a really bad movie you would see on the Lifetime Network, and they throw in all these different pop songs on the soundtrack that feels really unnecessary. Like, why is the song It's All Because of Me in there? That's just one of the songs that they're in there. They throw Bob Dylan songs in there. They throw other songs that you're familiar with, and it's just like, what's the point? Like, what am I going into this movie for, and what am I supposed to get out of it? I mean, like, you can watch the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where they find a watermark that they think is Jesus Christ, and that's more interesting than anything that's going on in this hour-and-a-half movie. I mean, this is a pretty lousy film. I mean, just wasted talent all across the board. I really wish there was something I could say that was positive about it, but there's just nothing here, man. It's forgettable. It's one that you're instantly going to forget about in a matter of days, and quite frankly, I've already forgotten about it. I don't even know what movie we were just talking about, honestly. Anyway, that's going to wrap this episode of Time About the Movies up. Next up, we have 5 more movies to look at on the weekend of the 22nd, and most of these movies are actually kind of good. We have Anna Faris starring in The House Bunny, Jason Statham starring in Paul W.S. Anderson's Death Race, which sounds like it's dead on arrival, but be pleasantly surprised with what I have to say about it, because it's actually a lot better than you think it is. Same as The Long Shots with Ice Cube, Keke Palmer, and directed by the head man of Limp Bizkit. We also have Rainn Wilson starring in a very underrated comedy, The Rocker, and Steve Coogan, fresh off of Tropic Thunder, in Hamlet 2. So, a lot of really good films, especially considering that this is the latter half of August. This is usually when they start dumping the really bad movies. We're going to get to those bad movies eventually, but next week's not looking like a bad week. So we'll take a look at those films coming up tomorrow. So check that out then. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell. That's when you get updates on when new videos come out, and we do post new videos here every day. And don't go too far away, because coming up on Time About the Movie's Flashback, we're flashing back to the middle of June 1987. Only one movie to look at today, but it's a really good one. Steve Martin and Daryl Hannah starring in the comedy Roxanne, so we'll take a look at that movie on Time About the Movie's Flashback. That's coming up right after I post this, so stick around, please, because we will be right back with more. Stay with us.